Jeez.
I was about to give you a quick call, but we're good.
It's like 70's a mess.
Accidents.
Assume so, or do you?
Traffic's up. Whenever you're settled, Commissioner Harkey, I'll get recorded.
The agenda pulled up here.
Yeah.
All right. Go. You ready?
Until my secondary reporters. And we are recording, ready to go.
This is a call of order for the German Village Commission. This is the hearing. Today is October 5th, 2022. It is 4:12 p.m. 111 on Front Street, second floor, room 204. The next business meeting will be Wednesday, October 19th, 2022 at noon. 111 North Front Street, second floor, room 204. And next hearing will be Wednesday, November 2nd, 2022 at 4 p.m. Same building, same floor, same room. Go ahead and swear to staff. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do. Morgan Graff, Associate Preservation Planner for the City of Columbus.
Thank you. Go ahead to introduce commissioners present. Start on the left.
Jeff Ferriel.
Ned Thiel.
Anthony Hartke, Chair.
Charissa Durst.
And we'll go ahead and go into the staff approvals. In on page 7 of your agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I have to recuse myself from 615 South Fifth Street.
Refusals? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move to ratify the staff approvals.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. And we'll go on to the minutes from last meeting, September 7th, 2022.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve acceptance of the meeting minutes.
Second.
Any questions on that motion? Those in favor? Against? Ayes have it. Moving on to the applications for COAs. The staff recommended applications, item 1, GV-22-10-021, 739 South 3rd Street. Up. Will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Sure do.
Please state your name for the record.
Benjamin Lehman.
Thank you. How are you?
All right. Proposed work description for this property is to reinstall the temporary vestibule in the exact same location that was approved last year. COA number GV 21-11-024. This will be installed once the temporary patio is removed in mid-October. Application was previously approved in October 2021. First temporary vestibule at the front entrance as stated previously. The applicant was also recently approved to reinstall the temporary patio in March, number GV 21-11-024. Staff recommends approval with any clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate with conditions. There are no conditions other than the temporary use of the vestibule. Basis of staff recommendation is somewhat consistent with German Village guidelines. Entryways and porch enclosures, page 118.
Anything else to add?
No, sir.
Questions, comments from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, item GV 22-10-021, 739 South 3rd Street. I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Against? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Very much. On to item number 2, GV-22-09-014, continued application for 583 South Fifth Street.
The applicant is unable to attend, and has, given me permission to represent for this application. If the commission is willing to continue as such.
Okay.
Proposed work description, applicant is proposing to replace wood garage that was approved in 1999, COA number 99919. Wood garage door will be replaced with a Wayne Dalton garage door, steel frame, steel face with wood composite overlay design, smooth. Door to be painted the same color as the current door. Staff initially reached out to the applicant to discuss the proposed garage door, informing them that the commission does not typically approve steel garage doors, since most steel garage doors have a faux wood grain pattern. The door appears to have a wood overlay over a steel paneling, where the wood overlay has the option of being smooth. From researching the door, the steel paneling did not appear to be smooth, but did appear of a minimal wood grain texture. The applicant reached out to the sales representative to forward HPO staff an example of an installed door that had the textured wood overlay. After further review of the submittal, the steel paneling does appear to be rather smooth in comparison to other options that have been proposed in the past. At the past October business meeting, commissioners requested applicant to provide further information for the reason of the full door replacement in lieu of repairing the rotted areas. The applicant has responded stating that they had a couple of companies telling him it is not possible to fix the existing doors. The size is also not standard, and for various other reasons, it would not be suitable. Staff recommends approval of any clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate with conditions. That the commission consider making this garage door a test case for future review. Staff will also recommend that the paint used is compatible with metal surface, since applicant will be painting to match existing, and for applicant to replace with same or similar design. Basis of staff recommendation is proposed works consistent with City Code 311611, standards of alteration number 9.
Questions, comments on the application?
Morgan, do you know if this door that he's proposing has glazing in the top, or is that a solid panel?
Is a solid panel.
Okay. Anything else?
Looks like, for clarification, the overlay itself is intended to be smooth, not the wood grain option.
Yes,
And the overlay is wood or steel?
it's wood. So the flat face portion underneath the overlay is the steel body of the garage door.
Okay, so the part that's more textured is the part that is not overlaid.
It's real wood.
Yes, it's real wood.
Is an 1/8 inch hard or flat.
So the diagonal is the wood,
Yes.
and then the base is still steel.
Mhm.
Motion. Take a motion.
On item GV 2209-014, 583 South Fifth Street, I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Clarification, you looking to do as a test or just?
No. No,
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay. Any questions on the motion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Against?
I'm fine.
Are you an aye or you're against?
I'm not.
Okay.
Was
Motion
that,
passes.
was that an aye or against?
I'm for it.
Okay, so thank you for clarifying.
Typing.
Okay.
Moving ahead to item number 3, I need to recuse myself due to proximity.
Anyone here for 358 East Beck Street? Have a seat. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth?
I do.
State your name, please.
Gabriel Rose, Cardinal Roofing and Construction.
Thank you, sir.
Applicant is proposing to remove the existing .40 aluminum siding and asphalt sheet siding underneath the aluminum. In addition, they propose to remove the original wood siding on all elevations. Removed siding will be replaced with hardy board siding on all elevations. The exploratory work shown was done without a COA. The most recent exploratory work was given approval by HPO staff, which is included in the materials. Applicant initially reached out to HPO staff at the end of June to ask questions about siding, gutter, and roofing replacement. For the asphalt shingle roof replacement and gutter replacement, staff informed them that we can approve those items as long as the shingles are from the approved shingles list. For the siding, staff recommend that an exploratory COA application be submitted to investigate what is underneath the aluminum siding. If the original siding was presented or present, staff would recommend restoring the original. If the siding is missing or damaged beyond repair, replacement of siding would be approvable if it were to match existing or to be Boral or hardy siding. If they were proposing a different siding or to replace the existing, that their application would need to go under commission review and can ultimately be decided once the exploratory was complete. The exploratory work was done prior to approval, as stated before. Staff had scheduled a site visit prior to September hearing on Tuesday, September 6th, to review the condition of the existing siding that had been exposed. The siding that was visible at the time appeared to be in good condition, excluding the few bottom row boards on the west elevation, which are typically seen with some deterioration. We did feel at the time the overall condition of the siding was inconclusive and would need further investigation for the condition. Staff recommends the commission continues the application in order to further review other areas of the siding condition. The proposed work is consistent with CCA 311611, standards for alteration number 6.
Anything to add? Anything?
I mean, I didn't, that next exploratory, I mean, it's pretty consistent with what she is saying. I mean, I think, I mean, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, this house is pretty Frankensteined up pretty at the moment. I mean, it has 4 different types of siding on it. I don't even know if they're originals on the back. Because I can't just yank all 3 at once because I need to obviously have you guys tell me when to. And it's also a T111 on the back, so it's going to be a little different than taking off the aluminum and the asphalt on the front. And we're getting into the colder season now, so it is going to be, I mean, the homeowner, I submitted a couple of a video and a couple of other things. The homeowner's concerned because there's water intrusion in several areas. There's more than one unit in this building. They're getting a little concerned about going into the winter. What that's going to look like, because we don't know the decision that they are allowed to make at this point. That's why I suggested a little while back of tearing the whole elevation off to see where we could get, because if we're going to restore, we need to restore. If we're going to replace, we're going to need to replace. That's why I was trying to kind of fast track it, and pulling off 4 foot at a time is not going to do that. I understand you guys have policies and things in place to do what you do, but at the same time, when we're under the gun. So there are, and I agree with you on definitely the portions that we pulled off. There's been siding that's been in good condition and can be restored, but also we don't know what all we're working with here. This is kind of a mystery still on, what all of it looks like. We're only pulling sections off this big. So, and then, like I said, the back, we don't even know if the original's there. And then there's a deck that was put on some years ago and it doesn't look like it was put on all the way properly. So it's caused some intrusion. So I don't know what all structurally is going on back there. So I don't know what all is, going to be needed. So I think that, the investigation needs to move, rapidly. I think we need to be yanking stuff off and really seeing what's going on with all the siding instead of just these small pieces at a time.
So Morgan, this is siding, but it's also roofing and gutters?
Well, for this application specifically, it's just siding.
Just the siding, okay.
It's the most pressing.
Yeah.
And they're not too concerned. The roof's not leaking, the gutters are not, they're not falling off. So they're gonna want to do the gutters when they do, after they do the siding, but their most concern is the siding at this point.
Okay.
Our initial application was the other materials, and then it's been focused on the siding.
Okay. Teresa?
And we're open to, whatever, you guys' thoughts. I don't know if you have any experience with something like this, I know that you guys have tons of, experience with dealing with this type of, applications and siding and so.
If you're asking for permission to expose all the wood sidings, you can see what.
Or at least, a whole side, or, maybe the whole south and the west side, because that's probably gonna be your worst side when it comes to wind-driven rain. And then also, trying to get, I suggested maybe the 2 sides, not the front and the back, because you don't want the front exposed, because it's just unsightly and it's really, there's no problem with it at this point, and we could put Tyvek up for the winter if we had to, something like that, so then just completely seal tape it around or whatever, but if we ran out of time, but if we're gonna, I'm looking for some suggestions on how we should move forward.
They could like expose the areas, large areas, and get a handle on what's expected. If it looks like, it all has to be replaced, they could come back at the business meeting. And
That
like
is
2
true.
weeks to get approved.
In 2 weeks.
Yeah, for the,
Okay.
like rather than.
Yeah, because
waiting for-
I could get out there and get, a couple sides, like I said, I'd leave the front alone, just so we're not looking at a big ugly house in the front, and just, and for the majority, there's mostly windows in the front doors, so it's not a lot anyways. So I was just thinking the two sides and really getting an idea, and then what I wanted to do with the homeowner was take a little piece of that T111 off and see if the original is even under there. Because we would have to do the hardy behind there anyways, if there is no original, because it's already has water issues in the back anyways. So,
But are you proposing to do vertical hardy siding?
no, we discussed it. I did propose that at first, but then she discussed that that's not, something that you guys would like. You would want me to do the regular horizontal, the lap siding. So
Not sure we allow hardy on historic structures.
you would like the boral,
No?
No, yeah,
Wood siding?
Yeah.
you just want wood.
yeah, I mean, our recommendation will be to either one, keep the wood or replace in kind with
Yeah.
wood and the same type of profile beside it.
If you guys have any materials or maybe an email of whatever products that you would prefer, that would be great. And I could kind of track it down, because if we are under the gun as well,
Mhm.
tracking down those supplies would be great. If I'm really trying to, get some stuff done quickly, I would want to, move on with the homeowner, because he's concerned.
Yeah.
The one,
We understand.
so I want to, move fast on getting whatever I need ordered.
3 different types of siding on the original structure is not an issue. That's
Yeah.
normal.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have reference from past applications that have been approved with
Sure.
this type of siding.
Sure, yeah,
so
if you
that
would-
can be
that-
sent as a reference.
Like I said, that's why you guys have a lot more experience with this. That's why I would lean on you guys and say, hey, help me out here.
Teresa, you said something about staff approval. What were you thinking about staff approval in 2 weeks?
Oh, I mean, at the business meeting, if you needed like approval to replace something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But if
because-
replacing with.
Like if
something
there was
fine.
a surprise, is what
Yeah.
you're saying. If it's completely different than what we were thinking now.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, replacing in kind, I think it's staff approval.
Yeah.
It's staff approval, isn't it?
I presume
Yes.
so.
Yeah, me too.
But if there's something, oh, what's this?
Yeah, like if it was
Yeah.
completely different than what we already thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for the clapboard party, that'd be something for, of course, the commission
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
approve, but in kind replacement of what is there is something that I can staff.
Okay,
Mhm.
gotcha. Okay.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, it looks like it's repairable. And we don't know what we don't know,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not arguing that what we've already seen for the majority is not, most of the siding is in pretty good condition. I think that it's that we don't know enough. I think that's why I was kind of saying, hey, let's get this.
We've certainly seen much worse.
Yes. Oh, I believe. And I think that I was kind of surprised with the amount of layers of siding that it was in the condition that it was.
It's been protected.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the only other concern I have is if, we get a little higher up on the one side, if it's, what the nails have done with the water. We'll see, but it might be just like the rest of the house, and that's entirely possible. It might be a good possibility, really, so. And the only other question is, if I go for the restoration, do I need anything for you guys, just besides making sure I go with certain colors?
We'll just need a spec and sizing of the siding, but, we can talk about that further when we get to that one.
Okay.
That works.
So we're looking essentially for a motion to allow him to do demolition of the existing siding.
Yes, I was gonna ask if that's what you.
Yeah.
We're on the same page for that, yeah.
I move on application number 3, GV-22-09-016, 38 East Beck Street, to approve the application as altered by the applicant to just remove as much of the existing aluminum and
Other layers?
other layers of siding to expose the condition of the wood siding in as many areas as he can.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Before we complete that, do we want to focus that on the side elevations? Or would that be, would the commission be fine with doing it like here?
To me, I think it's up to him to decide how much,
I'll
where,
probably
how
stick,
much.
I'll probably stick to the sides just because I'll
Yeah,
know.
that's fine, but it's
I'll know.
just gotta be sufficient for us to make a
And I
determination.
want to please the homeowners at that point too. I don't want to leave them with a eyesore until they decide what they're gonna move forward with in the following weeks, because yanking that front off isn't gonna take much time at all anyway. So I think that moving forward, it'll be pretty easy to do.
I mean, I wouldn't be horribly concerned about having it look hideously ugly for a couple of 3 weeks or a month,
Exactly.
or two.
Yeah.
Well, we all have houses that
Yeah.
look like hell when they're
Yeah.
being worked on, and then they get better.
Yeah, so I'm gonna yank the two sides off and say, hey, this is what you're working with. You ready? Okay. You know, so I appreciate all your time and we'll, I guess we'll all see how it goes.
So that's your concerns, Morgan?
Yes, that does. When we get to this point after the hearing, of course, Gabriel, just again, like we did before, just mention or note what you're gonna be removing on the sides. It
Okay.
should be a whole or-
I'll shoot you an email when I'm setting it up and what day I'll start removing.
Okay.
Okay, what I'm removing. All right, okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Be noted that the chairman has returned.
Back. Back in.
Right, next application is application number 4, which is gonna be a new application, GB-22-10-022, 46 and 46.5 East Blankner Street. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
And please state your name for the record.
Michael Casey.
Thank you, sir.
Proposed work description, remove the dead Colorado spruce tree located on the southwest corner and 2 mature Colorado pear trees located on the rear of property. Arborist report has been included stating the pear trees are 90% dead and the Colorado spruce is 100% dead and does not have a chance of recovery. The past October business meeting, the commissioner asked if the applicant had plans to replace the pear trees. Applicant has responded stating that they did not have a proposal for the replacement as of yet based on challenges in the backyard. The backyard is sunken and the applicant is unable to find a contractor who could grind stumps out due to limited access, and they are looking into a safer alternative methods of removal. OUPS would have, is that correct? Yes, sorry. OUPS would have final information for the applicant regarding any unknown lines in the backyard before picking replacement planting locations. Ideally, the applicant would like to plant closer to the corners of the property to be further away from the existing fire pit, which may have caused the damage to the trees. If that area is suitable for the new trees, the applicant thought the spaces would be suitable for limelight hydrangeas or cumulus serviceberry trees. Staff recommends approval with any clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate with the following condition: that the mature pear trees be replaced with similar tree from the approved city arborist list. Basis of recommendation is 311613, standard for site improvements, letter A.
Anything else to add?
We did hear back from OOPS and there's nothing in the backyard as far as lines that we have to be concerned about. So I think if the best thing we could do once the pear trees are out would be to, I mean, there are other ways to get rid of a stump other than grinding it. So we can do that. It just takes a little bit more time. And I think as long as we're planting a little further towards the corners of that lot with a different type of a tree, we should be fine.
Questions, comments from the commission?
Take a motion.
Take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, item GV 22-10-022, 46-46.5 South Blankner Avenue. I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Are there any questions on the motion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Moving ahead to item number 5, GV-22-10-023, 203 and 205 Burger Alley. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and the truth?
I do, William Hugus, architect.
You. All right.
I've come back to haunt you.
Yeah, we heard that. An actor of the big party and everything.
All right. Sorry, I lost my place. No, you're fine. It's very good. Proposed work description, just constructing new frame single-car garage to be 248 square feet per submitted site plan. Exterior building materials to be concrete block foundation, 1x8 floral scallop shiplap siding. Shingles to be selected from the GVC approved shingle list. Bridge will be metal and gray. Gutters to be 5-inch half round. Garage door to be CHI number 11 design, wood and painted bronze. Door to not include faux hardware windows. Main door to be Therma-Tru smooth fiberglass. Two black metal light fixtures, one to be gooseneck above garage door and lantern on north wall next to the man door. Existing metal fence and gate to be revised. Colors to match existing house colors. No zoning variances will be required. At the past October business meeting, commissioners asked applicant to provide the lot coverage of the area, and it appears that the new garage will cover the lot. The commission was surprised that there are no variances involved due to the lot coverage and will want to discuss further during the hearing. Applicant has provided the requested lot coverage information. Staff recommends approval, with any clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of certificate. That final material details, including shingle selection and paint color specs, be submitted to staff prior to application. Basis of staff recommendation is German Village Guidelines for new construction, garages and outbuildings, pages 113 to 116, number 1, number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 311612, standards for new construction, letter A, C, H, I, and K.
Anything else to add?
Pretty straightforward garage in itself. You wanted site data for the site. We designed the garage to meet the 50% lot coverage, and that's it. The trick there in zoning is you're allowed to take half one of the alleys. That's why it doesn't appear to meet it, but it does, so. That's that. The CHI garage door is an all wood veneered door. It's metal door with thick wood veneer on the face. So it shouldn't be any question there. I think, didn't I submit a revised site plan eliminating the driveway gates altogether?
I believe so. I believe it should be a part of this packet.
Yeah,
It looks like it.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I believe it's part of it. But yes, we did submit.
They were butt ugly and the clients wanted to use them as a fence. I said, no. They're concerned about the security of the back courtyard because of the alley. I've shown a fence that's our standard iron fence drawing, but they would like to get it up to 72 inches high. And we've done them, but I wasn't sure what the current attitude with the commission is on it.
Where did we do them?
Pardon?
Where have we done them?
Well, on Beck Street, the very end of Beck, Mr. Lecarinos's house has a 6-foot iron fence.
Which, I have no idea who that is.
It's at the corner of Brust and Beck.
Okay,
Beck, right across from the school.
yep, yes, okay.
Yeah. But this fence, that's in front, beside the house, facing the street. This
Yeah.
is on the alley, on the side of this house, so I didn't know. I brought an example of a 6-foot high iron fence. If you would entertain that. I asked them about a wood fence, and they didn't want any part of it for whatever reason.
Wait,
I think the iron is more secure because you can see through it.
my opinion is it's an alley, and it's at this point, it's the back of the house. And I don't think a wrought iron fence is, to me, appropriate at 6 feet tall.
Oh,
But a wood privacy fence would be. And this is gonna come up in another application we've got.
okay. I need to discuss that with them before they go to Florida next week, so,
I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean,
yeah, that's fine.
I got other people here too that,
if that's the case and that's the stumbling block, I would request to remove that from the application. I'll be back after I discuss it with them.
Trying to think of, there aren't very many places, if any, where I've seen a wrought iron fence on an alley.
There are a number of them. They were definitely older approvals, but not old as me.
The ones I can think of are like, it's the end of a lot and you got maybe like 3 feet of walking space on the other side
Yeah,
and it's 7 feet there, but I don't remember like.
The house corner of Frankfurt and Fifth has the big side pool, has a 6-foot iron fence around the whole side,
Yeah.
right up along the walk
yeah,
on the front.
I remember when that went up.
So I didn't, you want to see this one, or is that an issue that I need to take back with it?
Might make that a different
That's-
situation.
And it should have been pulled back,
Yeah.
and it wasn't.
Yeah, I don't want to see the proliferation of wrought iron fences on alleys.
Security.
I personally don't like them visually because they look like jails. So, but I understand the security one, but they also have cameras back there, so. And if anybody wants, 2 iron gates for a driveway, have at it.
Got to get a driveway first.
Oh, that's true.
So clarify what scallop shiplap is.
Scallop shiplap is, it's the, you know, on Dr. May's house at 214 Beck, we did an addition,
Mm-hmm,
and it was the test case for Boral.
mm-hmm.
It has a profile flat and then a cut, and then flat and then a cut. A curved cut, not an angle cut.
Yeah.
Well, I've used it in a bunch of places now. When people can afford it.
And the other thing is that all the trims, et cetera, should comply with what I believe is page 78 of the guidelines, which
Pardon?
all the trims, sizes, locations,
Yeah,
et cetera, should comply with, I believe it's page 78 of the
yeah,
guidelines.
it's our standards
Standard stuff, yeah,
stuff.
yeah, condition.
It's a very tame garage. I could have had
Yeah,
more
no.
fun with it. It's not worth it.
I think. As far as fence goes, I think, well, I prefer to have transparency in the village versus boarding everything off at the same time. I think a wood fence is more appropriate than height. So
In height, yeah,
I think I'm there too.
yeah.
Well,
I mean, if it was low, I'd go.
would it feel
I'd go-
better if it were only 5 feet high instead of 6?
I'd
Is
say
that,
this, the standard, what are we at? 48 is the,
Yeah, I believe
yeah,
so.
48 would be fine with me with wrought iron.
okay,
Because the standard fence, height, to me,
and that's
48
similar to what I proposed in the application. It's in your material, Morgan.
Stephanie, would you mind?
I would just change the height, I think I called out that one as standard 3 feet. If we can make it 4 feet, I think it would make them happier.
I think it'd be okay for 4 foot
yeah,
wrought iron. I wouldn't want a 6 foot wrought iron.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be appropriate.
Yeah, I
I think that's pushing it, but okay.
agree. So could I amend the application to a 4-foot high iron fence, similar to the elevation I gave you?
No, make a note on the motion that it's a side. It's not a front yard fence. Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, on GB 22-10-023-203-205 Burger Alley, I move to approve as amended with the requirement of page 78 of the guidelines for trims, et cetera, and that the wrought iron fence will be 48 inches instead of the 36 as originally indicated in the application.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Moving ahead to item number 6. Place. GV-22-10-024-328 Jackson Street. Excuse myself again.
Really?
Right there. Jackson. Block.
Raise your right hands, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your names.
Charles Barr, Steve Emerson with Home Columbus Hardscapes.
Great, thank you.
Proposed work description, installation of outdoor kitchen and pizza oven. Kitchen to be 15 feet 6 inches long and 5 feet 6 inches to 6 feet 2 inches wide by 5 feet 6 inches to 6 feet in height. Outdoor kitchen area will be constructed of primitive fieldstone. Kitchen space to include Chicago brick hybrid pizza oven, natural gas grill, access door drawer, drink well cooler, and warming drawer. It will be located in the rear of property along the west property line. Outdoor kitchen will be screened by 8 foot by 2 foot arborvitae. Arborvitae, arborvitaes, I'm always sorry. Arborvitaes. Thank you. At the past October business meeting, commissioners requested the applicant double check if zoning would be required. They noted that there was a similar application that ran into zoning issues and had to move the proposed kitchen further off the property line, altering the original design. Staff recommends to continue the application to allow applicant to verify if zoning will be required for the outdoor kitchen. Basis of recommendation is 311613, standard for site improvements, letter A.
Anything to add? You checked with zoning,
Yes.
and what was their answer?
They said that we did not require the zoning permit for the installation of the outdoor kitchen.
Okay. And you know where the property line is and you're clear of that?
Yes.
Okay. Farrell?
So how high is the existing brick wall?
Excuse me?
How high is the existing brick wall?
The existing brick wall, 8 feet.
8 feet.
The entire wall is actually on the property of the home of the owners. Not on-
Property line's on the opposite side.
It is.
Was the outside, okay. Anything?
Well, I propose for application number 6, GV-22-10-024-328 Jackson Street, to approve the application as submitted.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
I brought stone if you want to see it.
Thank you.
It's too late.
Oh, great. Moving ahead to item number 7, GV-22-10-025, 606 Raider Alley. Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
And please state your name for the record.
Michael Dahl.
Thank you.
Proposed work description, installation of a backyard concrete parking and patio area. Patio is 26 feet by 22 feet by 4 feet. Work includes the removal of wood privacy fence and installation of the new metal fence. Fence to include double gate and single gate. This also includes the removal of a tree and installation of new plantings. Emerald. I'm never going to be able to say this tree. I'm so sorry.
The tree.
Work has been done prior to COA approval and has received a code violation. As stated previously, the work has been done prior to approval and received a code violation for the work. The applicant had removed the wood fence, gate, the brick patio, the tree, and has replaced the concrete steps. From what it appears, the previous brick patio was being used as an off-street parking spot, but the brick patio did not cover the entire rear yard as seen with the present hardscaping. The tree also appears to be a mature tree, but according to the applicant, the tree was previously removed due to it being dead and struck by lightning. As seen in a similar case, November 2020, a concrete walkway was poured at 640 Mohawk prior to approval, with the brick paver installed on top of the gravel bed. The condition for that approval was for holes to be drilled every 12 inches of the existing concrete to allow water to flow through. Staff is concerned with the amount of concrete that has been installed on the property and how rainwater will drain, as well as the 6-foot metal fence to be installed. Staff recommends the commission offers design feedback. and continue the application to discuss a solution for proper drainage at a future hearing. Basis of recommendation, proposed work is consistent with CC 311618, approval is required, letter C, and German Village guidelines, exterior considerations, walks, sidewalks, driveways, patios, and parking lots, page 125 to 126, number 1 and 2.
Anything else to add?
No, I did not.
Questions, comments from the commission?
No, number one, it's, the material is not in compliance with the guidelines.
And what, please define which material.
Concrete. You probably heard our discussion about metal fences on alleys.
So there's no other concrete in the village that's installed? Is that what you're referring to?
Not that we've approved. I would say not that I have knowledge of, except for the one that was cited by Morgan, which had to be fixed by being paved with brick over. And there were issues there with drainage.
You ever approved a concrete driveway that was part brick and part concrete?
Yes,
Or that was a driveway?
it's a driveway.
And we've approved replacement of concrete driveways in the past, because it's already been there for landscaping.
Yeah, like for like.
Yeah, like, thank you.
This was brick.
And then aside from the concrete, the proposed fence, any comments on the proposed fence?
Based on our previous conversation, too tall. Also, let's talk about the tree removal. We had a lot of work done without COA.
Based upon the guidelines, I'm not sure how we could approve any of the items on the application as submitted. For the applicant's knowledge, just so you're aware, if we vote, if it's denied, because we have to vote in the, we have to hear the application and the approval. And if we vote to deny, there are several courses of action after. You can appeal back to the commission. You can go to the Board of Commission Appeals, and arbitration, I believe, is the third. Morgan, can you confirm that?
Honestly, I don't recall off the top of my head. I believe so, unfortunately, but I know those two, the first two.
Yeah. So
But I can look into that and get that information.
Morgan can follow up with you on what the recourse actions are if we deny the application. I just want to let you know that there are steps beyond this of what you can do.
Awesome.
Yeah, fortunately, it's not kind of all or nothing. There's really not a whole lot we can do in between.
Honestly, when this came to our attention, we hired a company to be the contractors and advise us through this project. I was dumbfounded when Ms. Turner from the city called us and told us that part of the things had been, on part of the project, German Village had been contacted, and I guess I was informed that you weren't contacted by the construction company on the other part, so.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, we have good intentions for German Village. We've been living in German Village since 2014. We were blindsided by this. We have nothing but good intentions and love for the village. So, I mean, obviously, we're trying to comply as best as we can. When we were notified, I contacted Morgan the first thing, and I've been in communication with you ever since. But our intent is nothing but pure and good here. So, whatever we can do, obviously, money is a big resource. And we've obviously put a lot into the project already. But we want to work with the commission. Our goal is no ill intent here.
And as working for a commercial contractor myself, I don't know what kind of agreements and contracts you signed with them, but I would probably look back at that because typically they need to comply with all zoning and code regulations. So there may be some recourse in there. We're not taking this as an attack on you or anything. We just wanted to
None taken.
some recommendations of what you could possibly go to after this goes through. Any other questions or comments from the commission?
Yeah, just, the normal thing is, what I always think is if you're outside your house with tools, you need to think about whether you need a permit. A certificate.
So I guess, do we take a vote on this, yea or nay?
Mhm.
Or do we continue it and allow the applicant to come back with appropriate remediation?
That I forgot to mention, that is an option. We could continue the application, if you wanted to come up with a plan of what could be done to, as Commissioner Thiel said, to remediate, to do some changes to whatever. What that option does for you is that gets you on the top portion of the agenda, so you don't have to go and start a whole new application. Or we can vote, and then that opens up the other options for you.
I mean, obviously it's cost dependent, but I'm open to hearing what the recommendations would be. But obviously that's going to come down to cost, but I say we continue this and hear the recommendations of what you all feel like would be best. And we can kind of go from there if you're comfortable with that.
Just a heads up, we don't make recommendations, but HBO would be the one to talk to about the rugs folder.
Conceptual review might be the right avenue.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah,
I'll say this,
and again, Morgan would guide them on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just conceptually here, we can make a statement that concrete pavement is typically, unless it's a like for like, is not approved by the commission. I won't say never, but I haven't seen it approved on my tenure. The fence itself, you've heard the conversation about the fence in the previous applications. I think it holds true here. Height.
I will say on the height of the fence, literally Agnes across the alley has a 6-foot wrought iron fence.
Do that.
So that's very foreign to me to hear that. That's something that we look at every day when we pull out of our driveway.
It doesn't mean it was approved.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's closure pieces between the adjacent buildings and her garage.
And the other concerns, of course, are the covering the entire yard and removal of the tree without, if it was dead, without replacing the tree, which is what we usually require when
The
it's.
tree was a safety, literally. We have a 5-year-old daughter and there's literally a garage right next to it. That was an immediate emergency decision based on safety.
Yeah, we usually, when trees need to be taken down, we usually require they be replaced.
So an item, I'm trusting you want to proceed with continuing,
I say we continue and go from
Okay.
there. I mean,
and Morgan can help you get there. So an item 07 GV 22-10-025 606 Radar Alley, I move to continue.
Second.
Are there any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Continue.
thank you.
Thanks.
And I'll email you after this.
Moving ahead to item number 8, GV-22-0. Reset GV-22-10-026, 595 South Fifth Street. Applicant for 595 South Fifth Street,
Oh, Third Street.
Third Street. My agenda's wrong.
Oh, no, that's me. I apologize.
The application says the right thing.
The application's got the right number.
Once you're all settled, if you don't, just please raise your right hands. Raise your right hands. Do you all swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
We do.
And please state your name for the record.
Randy Roberti, Cameron Mitchell Restaurants.
Thank you.
Valentine Catalano, Design Collective.
Thank you.
Wayne Scheck, Cameron Mitchell Restaurants.
Thank you very much. Morgan?
Proposed work description, revisions to the previously approved outdoor patio and trash enclosure design, COA number GB 2204026A. Changes that have been made include revised patio bar and fireplace locations, revised refuse enclosure to include the extension of the pergola of the proposed new bar location, addition of interior gate to the refuse enclosure, revised bar material, addition of a new railing at the edge of wood deck, metal arch trellis as previously reviewed with removal of the plexiglass and the addition of heaters in the arches. Application was originally approved at the April 2022 hearing. Applicant had submitted final design packet for HBO staff review, but had returned with additional materials for the commissioners to review that were not seen at the hearing, which included a more detailed drawing of the proposed metal entry arch with plexiglass and additional changes, which was brought back in front of the commission in August. The commission approved the overall design with the other changes in August, but decided to continue the metal entry arch for the applicant to explore their options. Following is taken from the approved August 3rd, 2022 Durham Village Commission hearing minutes. Commissioner Thiel stated that the plexiglass is not an appropriate material for the village and does not relate to the existing materials on the building, that the plexiglass is not historic. Commissioner stated that maybe a low shed roof to be installed with columns for support. Commissioner Harkey stated to look into a canvas as an option, as with what is seen presently. He would be fine with doing a full stretch canvas awning in lieu of the 3 separate as seen. Commissioner recommended that applicant consult with owner about if they want temporary with an awning or something more permanent. Commissioner Thiel stated the gate that is fixed to the arch will need to be removed along the arch for additional review and approval. Application was placed on September agenda as it continued to discuss the middle entry arch and slight design change to move the location of the previously approved bar with the removal of the fireplace. At the September business meeting, the commission asked applicant to submit elevation drawing of the new location for the bar. When requested materials were submitted, there was a major design change to what was previously approved in August for the outdoor patio. Staff had informed applicant that due to the major design change, we would be removing the application from the agenda in order for the applicant to finalize their overall plans and submit a new application for review. At the past October business meeting, the commission noted that there has been a number of changes to review and did not have additional information to request at the time. Staff recommends that the commission offers feedback and continue the application to discuss at a future hearing. If the application is approved, staff has concern with the new location of the fireplace in close proximity to the tree. Staff would recommend the fireplace to be relocated back to the previously approved location, as well as to not extend the pergola over the new bar location. Basis of staff recommendation is somewhat consistent with CC 311612, standards for new construction, letters C, D, F, J, and K.
Anything else to add?
Yes, just a brief overview of why the design changed. We obviously come in front of you a few times before and received approval on multiple occasions. Everyone was pretty excited about the project. As we started demolition of the space, we uncovered quite a few conditions that were going to make the original layout with the bar back by the tree a little challenging. One, the excavation for the bar plumbing was going to compromise the tree, which we found to be a unique feature of the site that we didn't want to lose. Obviously, I think everyone would agree with that. The size of it and the scale of the tree and the topography of the root system of that tree was a little higher elevation than we anticipated. So the wood deck that were floating around the tree, the hole for the cutout for the tree was going to be larger than anticipated, and our bar wasn't going to fit. So between those two items, the bar had to move. So what we did was back it up to the trash enclosure in order to buffer smell from guests and to, create a unique experience as guests enter onto the patio. The fountain stays in the center as kind of the central axis of everything, and all the energy revolves around. And we relocated the fire pit back to the rear of the space, kind of anchoring that side of the patio. I mean, originally we had the bar back there, so that area and the bar giving it energy, and the fountain and fireplace were giving the front portion of the patio energy. We kind of flip-flopped the two, right? So in terms of the fireplace and its adjacency to the tree, is staff concerned with, the distance from the tree?
A little bit. I mean, just from a previous application that we've had, tree damage has been done by like a fire pit or fire unit in their yard. So that's just our concern with the location of the fireplace there.
Okay.
Of it possibly damaging the tree.
Okay. We can find a fire pit model, a gas burning model that is not wood burning, which is less harsh, right? It's not going to be as dramatic.
We have called out a gas log set.
Right, exactly. So it is a natural gas burning in lieu of wood burning, which reduces the amount of smoke, the amount of damage that would be caused, because that's normally what causes the damage. It's not fire hitting the tree, right? It's
just the
the smoke and the heat
drying the tree out.
getting up and burning out the leaves, right? Damaging the leaves. So a more controlled burn with gas would limit that, improve that condition. So that's kind of how it came about. In terms of the archway at the entry, that's been there since day one, but agreed that the plexiglass isn't necessarily historically appropriate, so we removed that from the application. And that's back to what was originally, I think, intended in when you guys saw the last iterations.
I've got a couple questions. So as part of your first comments, you mentioned that around the tree was going to be problematic for the deck. It appears that the new plan still has a deck back there. Is that true?
That's correct.
Okay, so have a deck back there is not an issue.
The deck's not an issue.
Okay.
Water will drain through it. It won't affect the root system.
It was the size of the hole for the tree. That was an issue.
It was so the tree currently sits elevated above the patio. There's kind of a retaining wall around it.
Mm-hmm.
What we're doing is building the deck at the height of that retaining, or a little higher, right? So that it's elevated and it corresponds to some of the interior finished floor elevations. So we're raising that whole area, and we're raising it in a way that's porous. Obviously, a deck's going to let water through, so the tree still gets rainwater in the appropriate nutrients. So basically that deck just kind of collared around it. We're going to coordinate with our landscape architect just to confirm that we have the appropriate distance around the trunk to allow for future growth, but yeah, there will be a deck back there.
As far as the fireplace goes, the dimensions shown from what appears to be a deck surface to the top is 10 foot.
Correct.
5. So if that deck is actually 12 inches above grade, it's really going to be 11 foot 5 on the other side of the fence, correct?
Correct.
Okay, let's check.
Which, meets building code requirements for separation from combustibles.
Is the fireplace an insert? Just curious.
That is correct.
Okay,
Into a CMU construction,
yeah.
clad with a finish, obviously.
With the size, the mass of that fireplace, is there going to need to be a foundation for that fireplace?
There is. It's an offset footer, so it doesn't encroach over the property.
So if the plumbing was going to affect the root system, bigger foundation.
The
would not.
plumbing was about 8 feet closer to the tree.
We went right to the tree.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was very, very close. The 10 feet away at this point, the landscapers feel it is appropriate.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, is there any weatherproof covering over the trellis over the bar?
There's not.
It's just gonna be open. It's gonna get rained on. I'm just checking.
Correct.
Okay.
And the arched walkway, same thing, is now just
It's
open.
now just open, and we are growing vegetation kind of
Yeah.
up and around it. So, up front, it'll be the metal archway, but after a certain period of time, obviously, you'll have a significant amount of growth there to create some ambiance as you circulate down there. And there's lighting as well.
Yeah, there would just be a stipulation that you don't put a cover on it even later. I got a curious question for you, though. I mean, I'm looking at other restaurants in the village that have open courtyards and stuff, and they're walking by, you can see much more what's going on with them, and it's that whole be seen thing that goes on.
It's an interesting argument, and I could probably sit here and argue either direction.
I'm
There's a certain.
not arguing with you, I'm just.
No,
I'm just
I'm just
curious.
explaining our thought process. There's a certain perspective on patios and spaces in general. Do you want the people to be outwardly focused or inwardly focused? And you can create unique experiences in both ways, but sometimes when you turn people inward, like a Lindy's patio, for instance, they do it well. There isn't a lot of transparency out to the street. It separates you from where you're at and allows you to better control the guest's experience, which it's all about the experience, right? At the end of the day, when you're in a restaurant.
But, and not to argue, but,
Sure.
but Lindy's, I can see into Lindy's,
Mhm.
and Lindy's can see out, even though they don't care to look out. But
Yeah.
people walking by can see what's going on, and
So-
it's very attractive to wanting to go in there.
Absolutely.
It's also hey, I'm sitting here and I'm seeing, and outside I can see.
I think part of it, there's two parts to that. One are the site constraints. We had to have a trash enclosure.
I remember
And it
that,
had to
yeah.
go up front, so that there was that piece of the
I know,
puzzle.
yeah.
But the other one is, the entry was weak on this building historically,
remember.
right? You enter into the bar, it just created a
Yeah,
bunch of
I
spaces
get that.
that weren't great, it
Yep.
wasn't ADA compliant. We're reorienting that entry down that arch,
What,
or
what,
call it an alley, or whatever we want to call that now.
yeah,
And by kind of downplaying the sight lines and the rest, it makes that pop as the primary entry.
And
And that
that's-
thing's you're gonna have the greenery and the pop, and all the attention's drawn to that in lieu of having the white noise up in the
my
digital pad.
question then is, why is the gate so pinched?
The gate's what? I'm sorry.
Pinched, I mean, the whole thing doesn't
Tight.
open up, it's, two of those outside panels on the gate are fixed.
It seemed like there was some contention on the gate. Do we pull the gates off? I mean, we could easily pull the two gates off of that and let the arch stand by
I
itself.
have no problem with the gates, my question is, why don't they open the whole width?
Right, those two little side
Yeah.
elements. It's a fair question.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think
Some stands.
the technical answer is we didn't want to encroach over the right way.
okay, but I mean, again,
But
it could
absolutely.
fold in the middle and fold back
Yeah,
and pin to the ground, I'm just saying, and this is your decision, this has nothing to do with us. To me,
that's a
But I'm
fair
just
point.
asking
You
is-
think it goes operationally?
I'd like to be able to secure the space.
It'd be nice to be able to walk that down.
Oh, yeah,
immediately, so-
I get it, but to me, it just seems, I totally understand. Just seems to me that I would want a full view of looking towards that back, and this is where I'm going. And I get the great thing where the guys at the back of the thing, I think it all works great, but I also want to be able to see as I'm walking by into the side.
Yeah,
But it just seems so odd to me that you've got it pitched down so tight.
yeah,
If
we'll,
you want it, I mean, that's fine, but
Sort of
We'll study
outside
that.
plan, like looking through the keyhole party that's going on.
there is
over
something
there.
about controlling how much is unveiled that's very successful. It's done
Absolutely.
right.
yeah, but what I'm saying is the gate doesn't hide that. You can see through the gate,
Yes,
but it's got that barrier thing.
exactly. It creates some obstruction and you're not.
But it's
getting
not,
the full
it's
glimpse.
not mystique. I'm not gonna go for it because you can see through it. It's, hey, we pinched it down. We really don't kind of want
Have
you
you
to.
seen Nomo Somo in New York? It's a hotel that has a
Yeah.
similar entry to this. They obscure their arch entry that goes down the side like this with a series of mesh planters along the entire
Yeah.
street that looks like a faux facade.
Yeah,
And you can't see through
right.
until you walk through it, and then the rest is unveiled,
Okay.
which is very similar to what we're doing here.
So
I'm gonna argue New York's a little different than German Village, but okay.
Oh, I'm not yet. I'm trying to compare the two, absolutely.
Out of our jurisdiction, man.
Yeah, I walk around New York all the time.
No, I think you definitely are making some fair points.
I'm just bringing it up. I mean, to me, as far as being appropriate, it's your choice.
Okay,
I want you to be successful, that's all. I'm
absolutely.
looking forward to you guys opening
Same.
up.
Same. So we'll study that. I think you did raise a couple questions that we'll look at. That with that, I'm not even sure.
I mean, I think it's a wonderful LA that you've got going down there. It's just like, boy, it's like I wanna walk down there, but boy, you got this gate that's pinching off.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I don't see it that way. I see it
Yeah.
as a beautiful garden entrance that has transparency to the patio. It's approximately 7 foot wide. It's very ample width. I think it's gonna be a gorgeous entrance. You know, we design constraints of bringing the trash back on
Yep.
and needing a second means of egress. So we're ending up with a 7 foot entrance. We feel it's gonna be great.
That's, I'm just bringing, I'm more out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, it's a good discussion.
And I would say from my perspective, one of my concerns across the whole application from start to finish has been, we're going from an open streetscape to typically on any other property in the village, we wouldn't allow a 6 foot fence along the front edge of the property. Obviously, we talked about, does Lynn need to be kind of running along the side versus up at the front? We kind of came to the understanding it needs to be the front. It just feels like we're now creating this wall along the entire public facade of the fence. And the gate is increasing, even though it's transparent. To me, it just feels like we've totally shut off that entire stretch. It was a pretty long stretch. It just feels like it's
Probably
been.
where I'm coming from too.
Yeah, I mean,
And we know why we have the wall and why we got there.
Yeah. Our perspective on the gate is it's a matter of having a front door or not a front door.
Yeah.
When you go up to a space, right? The front
Well, I
door
think
gives
you
you a
have a
sense
gate.
of variety.
Everybody's got a gate, so
Yeah,
how opening,
yep,
perceived welcoming, whatever.
yep.
That's all.
So to me, I'm not sure if it's the pinch point, I get the ambiance aspect of it. I'm wondering, does it need to be in line with the wood fence? Can it be set back from the wood fence? Just,
I think if it's set back, it's gonna feel more like a barricade than if it comes out and spills into the visual sightlines.
I would say, and also the other piece is typically we wouldn't have in the village, obviously. You wouldn't have an arch over an entryway. You wouldn't have a gate that has that shape. It doesn't speak to the language of the village. I get what the architecture is trying to do with the look, but to me, I feel like it feels out of place. It's just one more piece of that facade that just feels out of place to me.
And I'm gonna say it's different and it's unique, but we have vernacular architecture that is different and unique just because it happened that way. Where we've got windows that don't line above the window below and odd things that happen because people built them to be purely functional, and that's the vernacular architecture. So I look at this the same way. It's a little off the beaten vernacular language of the village, but it's okay.
If you look at it in context to the structure itself, which is a fairly utilitarian, with a little bit of detailing, is it overly ornate for what would be appropriate for that kind of property?
I don't think you're gonna see it that much.
Okay.
It's more about the vegetation.
Vegetation and lights is gonna be what you
It's
see.
a very thin structure.
And it may be that we're looking at the elevation, we don't have the vegetation.
Yeah.
So it's just not reading.
That is true, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's cables on the inside, some other stuff. It's
Fair.
pretty light, actually. And my point is keep it light. Don't get back on the
That's our,
covering.
yeah, it's not about the metal, it's about the
Yeah.
vegetation that's going to grow up it and around it.
Yeah. One motion?
Just one thing real quick. Do we have details on the gate or is that to come? As far as rod diameters and whatnot, right now it just says M5 gate.
It's wrought iron, black powder coated.
The typical pinky diameter of bar wrought iron, essentially.
Yep.
Okay. Do we know if the front entry door, is that, it's not an original door there, correct?
Correct. That is new.
Yeah. And that was previously approved for that new entry door in April.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, on GV 22-10-026, 595 South Third Street, I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Aye. Ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Hopefully, we don't have to come back again. Appreciate it.
All right, moving ahead to item number 9, GV-22-10-027, 551-555 City Park Avenue, and 552 South Pearl Street. Once you're settled, just raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
And please state your name for the record.
Thanks, James.
And this will be a little bit lengthy for discussing it, so just bear with me, everyone. Proposed work description, 555 City Park Avenue alterations, remove existing Old World Bazaar signage, entry doors and bay windows, and restore historical Old World Bazaar entry and bay window woodwork and existing metal roofs on both. New modern windows and entry door and side lights are proposed. Repair masonry as required, all facades. Rework the Old World Bazaar storefront and entry on South Pearl Alley to accommodate 2 flush overhead garage doors. Replace damaged slate roof with new approved asphalt shingles. New masonry openings are proposed on the north facade of building facing the interior of the parcel. Marvin modern windows and doors proposed for these openings to align with the industrial architecture of the building, change of use, commercial to residential, renovation of the interior for residential use, step back, single-story glass and wood hyphen connector proposed between the building and the adjacent cottage at 551 City Park Avenue to the north. Hyphen will be inset to expose original building corners. Remove low masonry walls and benches in the right-of-way in front of the building on City Park. New herringbone brick sidewalk to be installed to match existing adjacent sidewalks. 551 City Park Avenue alterations, replace all historical siding with trim with new to match 6-inch boral Dutch shiplap, replace existing non-historical windows with new Marvin windows from approved windows list, 6/6 for dormer windows and 2/2 for street-facing windows. Maintaining all existing opening locations on the City Park facade, including dormers. Remove rear additions made over the years to the original structure footprint. New slate roof to be new slate roof to replace existing asphalt shingle. Renovation of interior, proposed addition to the rear of the original structure, not visible from the street. Raised seam metal roof, proposed 16-inch seam spacing on that addition. Paint color to be determined. 552 South Pearl Alley Street alterations. Repair existing masonry as required, all facades. New slate roof to replace existing asphalt shingle. Replace existing non-historical windows with new Marvin Ultimate windows from approved windows list. Maintaining all existing openings, locations on the street facade as well as east and south walls. New solid wood 4-panel front entry door and transom selected from approved historical style. Proposed iron fence along South Pearl Alley, including gate for parking spot. Maintain off-street parking spot. Renovation of interior. Replace concrete sidewalk and apron with new herringbone brick sidewalk and apron to match the existing adjacent sidewalks to the north and south. Proposed connector. The proposed hyphen connector between 555 City Park and 551 City Park to be 5 feet wide. Connector location inset from historical building footprint to expose building corners. Wood framed with flat roof. Large windows on east and west sides of transparency. Boral siding and trim and paint color to be determined. This application includes variance recommendations. Variance recommendations are CC 333218D lot coverage to increase permitted lot coverage from 50% to 60%. Existing building coverage is at 58.8%. CC 333221 front yard setback City Park to reduce the front side yard. To reduce the front yard setback from 10 feet to 0, existing condition. CC 333226 minimum side yard north to reduce the minimum side yard permitted from 5 feet to 0 feet. CC 333226 minimum side yard south to reduce the minimum side yard permitted from 5 feet to 0 feet. CC 333227 required rear yard to reduce the required rear yard from 3,162 square feet, which is 25% of lot area, to 1,343.07 square feet, 10.4% of lot area. CC 339111 voluntary discontinuance of non-conforming use to change 555 City Park from commercial use to residential use. Approval has been requested. Staff analysis, including the following is taken from the approved August 3rd, 2022 German Village Commission hearing minutes. Commissioner Foley asked if the west elevation of 555 City Park Avenue is being modified. Applicant responds saying the west elevation will be modified. Commissioner Foley stated that he has a hard time with removing the Old World Bazaar facades since its opening around 1965, that the Old World Bazaar modifications are over 50+ years old and are considered contributing on the east and west elevation, stating that the modifications done on the west elevation seems to not be based on specific evidence, with the east elevation being based on some found evidence. Commissioners consider to preserve the existing fabric because it is considered contributing unless the applicant can show a more solidified reason and provide evidence to alter the elevations to restore the trolley barn. It looks that the west elevation might have been fully open with some rolling doors. Commissioner Harkey requested the applicant enlarge and distribute higher resolution photos through staff of the west elevation of 555 City Park Avenue when submitting. He requested the photo be sent separately in order for the commission to review it clearly. Commissioners say that the commission rely on what was done in the contributing period and having to be careful of removing those architectural features. Commissioners asked if the brick banding is consistent along the whole building. Applicant stated yes. Commissioner Harkey stated that the historic property connected to garage is strongly discouraged, but this is a strange, different situation and worth mentioning. Commissioner recommended applicant for following the connector section from the guidelines with the removal of the connector of 552 South Pearl Street and for exposing a corner at 551 City Park Avenue. Commissioner Thiel advised the applicant not to use a shower as a connector piece between 555 and 551 City Park Avenue. He recommended to use a glazed breezeway in lieu of the proposed bathroom shower connector to create more of a hallway than an addition. Commissioners do not have the issue with variances. Commissioner Harkey stated that facades 555 City Park Avenue will be an issue. He stated that both the east elevation of that property will both need to speak to the same instead of picking and choosing from either side. Commissioners asked if there's been an exploratory evidence of the interior and asked the applicant to look into the footprint of the brick around the front entryway bump out on the east elevation. Also stated the west elevation looks as if it might have been set back into the structure further. Commissioner stated that he agrees that Commissioner Foley was sticking with what is there and not making any changes. The applicant could propose changes to the doorway and maybe the window, but that the elevations should stay the same. Commissioners say that they typically do not allow curb cuts, and the applicant will need to provide more evidence before they can consider approval. They do not want to set precedents. Commissioners recommended applicant reach out to the Ohio History Connection to see if they have more record or evidence of this trolley barn. If not, design without evidence can be conjectured. Commissioners won't have an issue removing the slate and replacing with asphalt as long as there's evidence for needing replacement. Commissioners stated to keep the steps through doors will not need to be used on 551 City Park Avenue and to place a plant to read that they will not be used. Commissioners requested the applicants proposing to replace the windows for applicant to send in photos of the current windows for them to be assessed before confirming replacement. Commissioners will be fine with removing existing sign and bracket on 55 City Park Avenue. Commissioners asked if louvers on east and west elevation of the gable ends are real. Applicants stated they are applied. Staff had reviewed the original submittal and requested the applicant submit a north elevation in order for the commission to review the proposed window openings, which the applicant has provided. Staff has concern with the amount of brick being removed for the new windows and doors on the north elevation. Staff will note that the applicant has decided to remove the proposed dormers that were seen during the conceptual review in August, where staff is in agreement with that design change. At the past October business meeting, commission and staff requested detailed photos of the historic siding and trim to be replaced to determine if the historic sidings deteriorated beyond repair. They did request additional information to further understand how the garage doors on west elevation will function. Staff recommends the commission offers design feedback and recommends to continue the application. Basis for staff recommendation is 311611. Standards for alteration, number 1, 2, 4, and 10. And German Village Guidelines, alterations to existing structures. Connectors, pages 94 to 95, number 2, 3, 4. And German Village Guidelines, new buildings, garages, and outbuildings, page 113, number 2. And that is all. Thank you all.
Anything else to add?
Thank you.
Anything else to add?
Just some overview comments, I think. I think in a previous meeting, we reviewed the removal of the dormers on the 555 building, maintaining the roof line. Actually, there's a mechanical cutout in that roof that will remove those units and cover over so that profile is maintained. We submitted pictures of the Pearl Alley Cottage windows, which are single pane replacement windows, aluminum at this point. We just want to replace them with improved Marvin window for that structure. The windows on the City Park Cottage upstairs are aluminum replacement windows. Downstairs, they're wood, but not necessarily the original windows from evidence from the 1952 photograph that was in a book about the history of German Village. I think we included that photograph in our materials sheet, just showing, shutters, window style, and siding to be basically return to that those profiles, that level of finish for the house, which is the front is a Dutch Cove shiplap. It's older, it's patched in, puttied, and filled in a lot of places. I submitted a sheet showing specific details along there. We want to replace it with the same type of profile, just with a material that's intact, that can continue to last. The one thing that I did want to correct on this, which is my fault, is the two sides of that cottage are actually just a lap siding, which I thought was a replacement siding at some point. But if you go back into the historical photos, the front of that cottage is a Dutch shiplap and the sides are a lap siding. They are different. And we would maintain that just because that's photographic evidence. The roof on the City Park Cottage is sort of a clipped corner slate, which would be repaired on the front. It's asphalt on the back. We would match the slate on the front with the replacement roof on the back side of the original structure's roof. And then replace the asphalt on these Pearl Alley Cottage with slate roof as well, square corner. Masonry repairs, we went into some detail, maybe in the last meeting or two, just about the how to treat the west facade and the east facade of 555. We were unable, through the History Connection or through anywhere else, find a better picture of that back facade. And so knowing that that is, would be sort of the driver for how we treated that, and our discussion about treating the two facades in a similar manner, in this application, we have proposed to, keep the construction of the City Park facade and roof cover, keep that bay window, simply replacing the stopped-in glass that is in that bay window to the left of the entry door. Restoring the roof, restoring that sort of covered build out, even though it's in the right of way at this point. If it's existing, we just want to repair that. We are suggesting that we take out the existing Old World Bazaar doors and side panel in there and replace that with new, just allowing more light into that front entry. Through that perspective, in treating that facade in that way, or approaching it in that way, we went and revisited the west facade and thinking, this is the evidence we have before us. How can we restore this facade based on, the age of that, but still make it work or function as a garage for this site? There's the off-street parking spot between 555 and the Pearl Alley Cottage that we're going to remain. That'll be a brick parking area with that iron fence that runs along the front of the Pearl Alley Cottage, and that same height fence being a gate. And so when you're walking along the sidewalk, which we're proposing to replace with the herringbone that's adjacent, it's meant to, maybe when it's not in use, look more like a patio than a parking spot. We do have a 6-foot wood fence at the east end of that parking space that will be planted up just as a privacy fence for the rear yard. The way that we are approaching the access for the proposed garage on the west facade is with a particular type of garage door that allows you to apply trim, molding. The radius isn't as close to the top corner. So what you can do is you can actually get the garage door when closed to flush out the adjacent wall. And so, I think that in a way we're trying to work with that facade simply have it function differently than it is now. Treating that trim work the same way. Of course, along with this comes the idea of that curb cut, which historically was a curb cut, although for previous use of that structure. On this site and with the combination of these lots, the feasibility of this project really relies on the idea that there's, off-street parking, not taking up any more additional lot coverage. I think we got our lot coverage down in this application to 1.2% overall. And really when we're getting close to 60% versus 50%, it's relative to the 555 structure, taking up nearly the entire south lot. We submitted individual lot coverages for each one of those, just as a reference point, pre and post proposed work. We are proposing that same style of iron fence in front of the city park cottage, with stone cut steps down, not necessarily access point, but maintaining that. Those are treated wood steps at this point. We want to take those out and make it more of a historical entryway, although those doors would be fixed. Our variances, I think we outlined which ones are technical in nature, and I think it is all of them except when we combining the lots reduces our rear yard because the orientation of the site is such. We're not adding to that, the sort of Pearl Alley side, and taking away that connector a couple meetings ago allows that building definition to remain. And then simply changing it from a commercial use to a residential use. Of all the construction that we're proposing in here, none of it is triggering a variance just besides lot coverage. All our setbacks are related to the existing masonry structures and the cottage on the site. We wanted to be careful not, there's a lot going on. So we want to be careful not to keep pushing the envelope, but also balancing that with needs of our client. So all the proposed additions and non-original structures are not the items that are triggering those setback variances.
So let me ask about the curb cut.
Yes, sir.
So was that curb installed when the building ceased being used as a trolley barn?
Hard to tell. It's a newer curb. It's a concrete curb versus a stone curb.
Looking at it, it looks like a newer curb.
Yeah.
Even on the pictures, it looks new.
It could have been a maintenance update, certainly during the time.
They weren't getting trolleys in there with the curb there.
Exactly. And so, part of this too is, suggesting that that's a curb cut. There's no parking there now. It doesn't take away street parking, but returning that to a stone curb adjacent to the historical curbs and letting that apron be a brick apron so that sidewalk, continuity is maintained. And taking up almost the entire front of the Pearl Alley cottage is concrete apron and sidewalk. We want to take that out just so that entire stretch of Pearl Alley on that east side has a brick sidewalk stone curb with those curb cuts brought back.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is normally I'm pretty opposed to curb cuts, but I think the historic building, the original building might have not had that curb to begin with.
Right. That was the access point for the trolley cars. The main garage for that was the building across the alley. This was the auxiliary trolley barn for that. And so, and this being the open side of it was certainly the side which the trolley cars were brought over for maintenance.
So I'd be happy to get trolleys back and restore it to a trolley garage, but I don't think anybody's proposing that.
Right.
Well, then it became a grocery warehouse, so certainly they had to be able to load groceries in and out somehow.
Good point. When was that? I didn't find that.
It was the Sanborn maps.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
In the 50s.
Yeah, the car wash was early 50s.
So
Yeah, so it's probably just before that. Yeah, but, yeah, but I had an uncle who actually worked in that car wash.
Did you drive your car from Pearl?
Yep. Okay.
So what's driving the replacement of all the siding on the cottage?
Just the deterioration on the front from the sheet that I submitted, it's certainly been patched in, filled. It's a couple of reasons. One is that we want to replace the deteriorated siding with something that's long lasting. Two, with the siding either replaced or restored, these cottages don't have sheathing in them at all. And so it also helps to make the structure more rigid. It gives you a point of connection, gives you, chance for, to make this, the lifespan of that building at this point extended. It's in pretty bad shape right now with that. So, with that replacement comes a couple of other things that we can do to help the structure extend its life.
But I think needs to be evaluated whether should be demolished, all the siding taken off of it and tossed.
Mhm.
Or whether you come back with wood siding to match, but boral and hardy is not appropriate siding on a historic structure.
Mhm.
I don't think we've ever allowed that. We've had a discussion earlier about this.
Boral, we have allowed before. It's a different type of thing, but certainly not hardy.
Where was it a test case?
Yeah. Cedar Alley Cottage approved boral lap siding, which was a replacement of lap siding that was there, which was a Dutch slab that we talked about. And that one had been layered up and deteriorated as well over time.
Well, still, I think an evaluation needs to be done
Yeah.
on whether it is or not. And the other thing is, I have no problem with you taking all that siding off and doing something to put a vapor barrier or something up, but putting it back.
Sure. And I think on the north and south side, because that was protected by the adjacent buildings, more so than the front was, that's totally feasible in those cases.
Yeah, so I think that needs to be
Sure.
decided.
Yeah.
The other thing, I do have concerns about all the brick you're removing from the north side of the barn.
Yeah.
That's a freaking lot of demolition of historic fabric.
Yeah, and the courtyard openings. Yeah.
Whether it's seen or not seen, it is majorly significant.
Mhm.
You're knocking the hell out of the building.
Yeah.
I got a problem with that.
On the City Park Cottage, current existing condition has shutters on the first floor, which are obviously not original. They're way too big. You compare it to the 52 photo, they're a different size.
Mhm.
So it looks like you're looking to put the 52 size shutters back, which are more appropriate as far as the size of the window goes.
Mhm.
But not doing shutters up on the second floor dormers, which the 52 has.
Mhm.
Feels like a little bit of mix and matching of history.
Yeah. Yeah, the dormers up there, in that 52 photo as well. Let me get there.
That's on page
Yeah.
8 of the application.
I do think that including those in the restoration of that facade is totally on the table. If that helps to complete the approach to it, we'd be happy to add those back in.
I just feel you go all the way.
Yeah.
Don't put them back, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I'm going to discuss the west side of the barn. What are you doing?
The west side of the trolley.
Yeah.
So in that, in the absence of photographs of that facade that are clear before, what is existent now, what we're trying to do is have, those function in a way that gives access to that as a garage, but working to maintain at least the profiles and the apertures of that facade. I think that it's the approach right now
is maintaining those very closely. It would certainly be easier if we found perhaps treated those all as siding, of course, or took on the approach that that was just modified slightly. I was trying to stick to the original facade as much as possible. Now, in doing so, those are flush garage doors, which that same trim and profiles can be applied to them. And they can, when closed, come all the way out to the exterior face of the facade. And that was an effort to sort of balance out maintaining the facade with some functionality that we were thinking for access.
You're replacing glass with panels to do that, right?
Yeah.
Something inside of me just screams that's all wrong.
I mean, I think, we've had such a hard time with this facade and
I
with
know.
those photos, I think that in there, looking at that, there may be a solution there where the entry doors and side panels on the right-hand side, because of their size and isolation and configuration, could be maybe the single garage door, not requiring two then. Just with recent interior design updates, that space got deeper. And there might be a solution there where we're not getting into the windows, we're only going through those doors. Which would help, then you could maintain at least the glass wood combination on the left-hand side.
On the north side, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that there's a solution there on our end for figuring out that working with the access and mobility of being able to.
Yeah, I can see respecting the door opening, the rough opening, but not making it look like it was a man door. Make it look like a garage door.
I mean, I'd be happy taking that because it's a single plane, it's taking that same siding that's in the inset there and just pulling it down to the ground. But the flush garage door could still make it look like it wasn't a door there. It just is an extension of that siding.
I think it's a garage door, make it look like a garage door.
Yeah.
But don't make it a garage door that's supposed to look like the original pair of man doors from the 60s.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts.
I will make a note, there's a book, Columbus Neighborhoods, a guide to landmarks of Franklin, German Village, blah, blah, from 2013, 15. And that in that book, there's a paragraph about this property. And Tim Cook, not sure if he's around still or not, but apparently anecdote from him is that he used to sneak underneath the overhead doors in that facade. So there is evidence that there were overhead doors at one time. So for me, I think that said, it allows towards more an overhead door type of scenario, I think at this point.
I think that we would pursue that wholeheartedly, just knowing sort of the board's feeling on that balance that we strike there, for sure. I mean, I think we want to make it work. We want to make it work in a way that makes the most sense to commission and just trying to meet up with the functionality that we're trying to get.
And not having photos of, do we know that, I'm assuming that the windows there are not part of the old World Bazaar timeframe, that's probably part of the renovation afterwards, I guess.
No, those were,
I think they were.
Bazaar.
Yeah, I think it was.
It was. We have some old drawings of it. My dad's old partner did those drawings, strangely enough. So Chuck Nitschke's project when he was first out of school, sort of thing. So, that window, although it's kind of funky, was kind of part of that 62, 64 renovation. But yeah, I think that, with the commission's feedback with those, I'm more than happy to make it not look like a totally integrated like part of the wall and make it more of a garage door for sure. I think I just want to make sure I know where to balance that out properly.
Yeah, I'm happier with this elevation looking like the garage door than the city park elevation. looking like an infill garage door.
Yeah, yes. And this is technically, an alley, although, there's nothing across from necessarily.
It's got a lot of exposure.
Yeah, it does, because of that. But I think in part of this, we're taking off the faux vent, just because that was added on at a later point anyway. But maintaining that overhang and some of the characteristics of that were maintained probably from when it was actually the trailer barn. I think there was a melding of elements at that point as well. And try to be sensitive in this next iteration.
Just go back to what I said, I understand the north wall, but I think you're just knocking too much out of it.
Mhm.
Especially for bedrooms and stuff. Doesn't matter, really, historically, it doesn't matter what function it is.
Yeah.
You're just,
Well, your design intent is to make it look like they were infill garage doors.
Yeah,
That's what
like
it
big,
looks
like functional openings for a warehouse type
but
of,
they weren't.
for sure.
Right, but it was.
Now,
it was-
the extent of them, working to strike the right balance. That is a 185-foot long building with windows on either side. And maintaining the roof line and getting rid of the dormers, the light is an issue in that, it's 30 feet wide. So, in our minds, it's interior facing, and I get that or I understand the approach or the thought that it's a historical material that's being removed. I think that in modifying this structure to a residence as well, trying to make that living space, in a way, like we went this way because I didn't think like punching windows in felt, that moved me, my emotions further away from what maybe an approach to that facade. Now, how many of them are there, or just, reducing the amount of removed material? I'm open to discuss. I think that we want to try to get as much light in as we possibly can in that center part of the building. But I think that larger openings at least make more sense to the building type than punches. And this is part of just the approach.
The first floor plan, I guess part of it may look, the wall is missing because it's not pochade by the garage, it's white. So I think if,
Let me see. That may have been just my clumsiness.
oh, it's pochade there, I guess on the old one.
There could be an old one in there. Yeah, in the updated one, I think that north wall is post shade in all the spots that we were proposing to keep.
An old one.
Is there? Is that the one you're looking
No, I've
Look
got
at the latest one.
cars in it.
at? It may be previous material.
It's on page 15, so it's.
Page 17 shows it.
There's a previous material link, Commissioner Durst.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if they're separated from this one due to the size. Mhm.
Was that a question? If it was missing Boucher, what were we doing there?
Well, whether I was on the
Okay.
right page, but I guess I've just got older materials.
Yeah, we're limited on the south side as far as apertures because fire code won't allow us to have apertures that close to the property line. So we certainly were putting all the chips in one eggs in the basket. That more sense. Yes.
It's like, again, it's trolley bar, had no windows. You want to make it a residence. I want to keep it as trolley bar historic as appropriate. So there's got to be somewhere in there to figure that out.
Yeah.
And talking about light, is there, and this is not a cop out, is there the opportunity for going for skylights to get light in, back into that building?
I think that is a possibility, it's a trussed roof up there over the space. I think we traded off in our minds, I guess, keeping that roof without skylights or dormers for, the wall apertures.
And to me, a skylight is less damaging to the historic structure and can be repaired. Or once you knock out a brick wall, we're done.
And if this application doesn't have the interior, just the first floor plan, but there, I believe, I remember from last time, the second floor, that center area was open to above and you kind of had. So if there was a skylight option, it would bring light down, probably more than you get on the north side of a first floor wall.
Sure. We don't have a second floor anymore.
Okay,
There's just as a perspective too. It's all just on that
one single floor, gotcha. There wasn't before, right?
Yes. No,
Yeah,
your
it
memories.
was.
Okay, making sure my head was in the right place.
I think in a previous iteration, we had more individual openings than larger ones. And some of the feedback that we got was make the openings larger, go pilaster to pilaster. Now,
And that came from me.
those balance, I know it did, I didn't call you out.
It's all right, no.
Yeah, but I, the reduction of how many openings of that size, I think is totally feasible.
I mean, this is kind of a mid-century modern glazing thing,
It's just like.
which
a
I
cleaner-
enjoy, but I
it's
just
like
don't think it's,
Yeah, it's a
I think
cleaner
it's too much
opening.
damage to the thing.
It's slightly more, what to say, slightly more of a commercial approach to this than having certainly a Marvin Ultimate that's giant, right? And so that's why we chose that particular style of glazing and doors, because it was more minimalistic. And I mean, before cost came into the discussion, certainly like steel and glass was discussed, but we're talking, 600% upcharge. And these ones certainly are not inexpensive, but at the same time, we're working to find solutions that maybe help balance that. That doesn't detract from your thoughts that there may be too much of an opening there, but. The question may be as well is, understanding that as you guys are looking at this north facade, is there a point at which reducing the removal of material sort of gets back into a comfort zone for what we're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
I can see 3 of those panels anyway. 3 panes, but just thinking about the plan. And that's my problem, not yours.
I think it'd be helpful to identify where on the elevation, kind of where the existing door is opening on that wall.
Yeah,
Because to me, that portion between those two pilasters, I think would be the sacrificial place
Yeah.
to start from.
Yeah.
Because there's already the language of there being an opening. Looks like there may be a couple other small.
Yeah.
One back of the drive, there's a small punched opening kind of looking thing.
yeah, sort of where that opening is on the right-hand side before the smaller opening. That's the general location of that man door that's there now. And then if you go up to 3 more large openings, the third larger opening, the second is right about where that, French door unit is at the moment. It might,
Maybe good to have just like an existing elevation versus the new.
Sure.
Like that would help us talk towards happening.
Morgan, could you flip to just the site, the survey, page in this. I think it's near the top.
Yes. And actually Stephanie, planner back
Oh,
there
sorry.
will be. My fellow helper, streamer.
Up one more sheet. Okay, so that doorway, that French door is just over halfway up. You can see the torch there in the center, identifying where that is. So you're supposed to have, okay, I think I agree that may add some clarity. But that's right about where the center 3-part opening is. Maybe just towards the end of that.
That, and it looks like there's a man, you see steps, possibly a man door there.
Yeah.
And look at the photo, there's a tiny little, it's like a
Yeah.
mail drop looking
Yeah, there's some funky
thing, yeah.
punches.
I would offer if you end up going the route of skylights at all, the fact that your courtyard facing, it's very long, so you're not gonna see anything from the street, it kind of, where we wouldn't put skylights in a lot of places, you got a lot of space, right?
It's north side on top of it.
And you're already cutting that part of the roof where the mechanical stuff sits.
Yeah.
Maybe a combination of some opening, some skylights. And I get the pricing issue.
There's ideal and then there's
Yeah.
back things.
Yeah, I just,
Yeah.
to me, the multi-pane kind of approach just speaks more to the language of an industrial era as opposed to a modern commercial storefront looking.
No, that's fair. I mean,
But it's interior, so
yeah.
we're really gonna see it.
Well, let me ask this question too, just for clarity, because I think, the type of glazing and window units we're using, it could certainly move to a more of an ultimate type of system with a putty, Latin layout that has some more of, steel and glass, or is more closely dimensionally to a steel and glass type of glazed wall under there.
I think, so looking at the plan, looking at the elevation, looking at what you'd see from the street side, to me, it's really sitting out there on South Pearl, looking between the cottage, be able to see down there where's your visual point of demarcation, basically. I think once it's into the courtyard,
Yeah.
I'm less concerned about any kind of architectural styling of those
Yeah.
openings. But I think anything that you're gonna see, from plan view is a fence.
Yeah.
That first pilaster back.
Yeah.
I think your elevations may show nothing in that first pilaster, but
Yeah, I've shown that the two fences in that elevation with the planting
yeah.
and the, just as a utility stays.
I think anything you're gonna be able to see from that alley view, I think wants to be
Yeah.
treated a certain way, but anything you're not gonna see because it's too far back, I think is.
I think if we were to lower those without that transom height, that would certainly cut down on that. They're tall, right?
Yeah.
Those doors are 9 feet with 2-foot transom, I think.
Yep.
Just mention that. That would certainly help that aspect of it. That the possible reduction of how many openings there are along that side could certainly be thought through. To help reduce that material removal. And if more sort of a different approach to those with a gridded product made more sense, certainly that can be a consideration. I think we're just trying to open it up as much as we can. Like I said, long interior lot. If we can cut down on the visual connection from Pearl, because Pearl is the only spot that you would have maybe glimpse that. And if we cut that down in height and maybe cut back how close to Pearl those apertures are, We're moving, I think, more in the direction that's desired for the comments that I'm hearing.
Any other questions or comments from the commission? Hearing none, we could vote on as is, or you can continue.
Yeah, that was good feedback on the doors in the courtyard. I mean, when we think about this holistically, I want to make sure I'm focused in addressing the questions that the commission has. With the treatment of the cottages and with the treatment of the facades, we talked about the garage doors. I feel like the direction that I'm getting is the address the garage door, west facade, and then also address some of these apertures with reduction in height and reduction in size to help that be one, less visible from Pearl, and also just reduce the amount of removed masonry.
That's my big concern.
Okay.
I'm not as concerned about being able to see what it is from Pearl, that there's just less of it.
Yeah.
And the other piece is some evaluation of the siding on the City Park Cottage,
Front facade?
all of it.
Okay.
Typically what HPO would do.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be fine.
Morgan can go out and do an evaluation of it, take a look at it and see what she thinks.
Happy to.
Yeah, we just done a site visit.
The garage next to it.
Right, there's no other questions, comments. Is there a motion to continue as requested by the applicant?
Mr. Chairman, item GV 22-10 Z-027 551-555 City Park Avenue. I move to continue.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All
Is
those-
it -027 or 026?
027.
It's 027. Might have been a misprint in my staff reports, if that's what you're referring to, Commissioner Ferrio.
And I'm looking at the staff report.
Okay, yeah,
Yep.
that was a misprint on the staff report.
Okay.
But I just noticed that too. Yeah.
Ready to.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it. Motion passes.
Thank you for your feedback.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Any other business?
Yeah, we do not have any new or old business or conceptuals for this month.
Good. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Give me no objections. You're adjourned.
So Ken is no longer an issue. Yes. Thought part of the same thing.
Well, hour and 20 minutes.